Hello and welcome. Today, Octo will be sharing how they use RollWorks and Bombora for their intent-based campaigns. Before we get started, just a couple housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A tab and we'll try to answer them along the way or at the end of the presentation. Also, we are recording this webinar and we'll be sending the on-demand link out afterwards. So let's dive in. I am Marissa Bialik. I'm the Demand Marketing Manager here at Bombora, and I'll be your webinar host today. With me, I have some awesome speakers from both Okta and RollWorks who I'll let introduce themselves. Want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, everyone. My name is May Kadow. I lead our digital ABM team here at Okta.
Hi, Katie Murphy, and supporting May in our digital ABM program team at Okta.
Hi, I'm Ashley Stiles, Director of Partner Marketing at RollWorks, and just really excited to be here and learn from Okta today.
Thanks, everyone. We're excited to have you all here today with us. So on today's webinar, we'll start with a quick introduction to Bombora and RollWorks. Then we'll dive into an overview of Okta's intent playbook and the results that they've seen, plus some key takeaways. And finally, we'll open up for Q&A. So for anyone who's not familiar with Bombora, we are the leading provider of intent data with our branded company surge intent data. It tells you which businesses are researching the products and services that you and your competitors sell. So this is how Bombora helps marketing and sales leaders prioritize the resources to generate more leads, pipeline, and opportunities. And we do this by understanding the usual content consumption patterns of a business against an intent topic in our taxonomy. And these are related to B2B companies, products, solutions, or trends. So we then identify when these companies are consuming those topics more than they normally do, which is what we call company surge. So to sum it up, it's a buying intent signal that indicates when a company may be in market for a particular B2B product or service and the intensity of that interest. So with that, I'll pass things off to Ashley to tell us about RollWorks.
Thanks, Marissa. So I'll just give a quick overview and also talk about how RollWorks and Bombora work together just to set the stage for what Katie and May will be sharing with us. RollWorks is an account-based platform that supports B2B teams of all shapes and sizes. So you'll see on the left side of the screen here that we are a division of NextRoll. And NextRoll was actually formed out of AdRoll, which is an early leader in the retargeting space. So we have this really rich data, machine learning, and advertising heritage that powers RollWorks' account-based platform. And you'll see on the right side, just the volume of that, right, in terms of contact data, company data, and user profiles, and then also all the machine learning that's powering the platform to help make sense of that data and help marketers really make the most of their ABM programs. Next slide, please. Thank you. Like I mentioned, we work with companies of all shapes and sizes. So you'll see large enterprise companies amongst our customers like Honeywell, high growth software companies like Snowflake, Okta, of course, but also really small teams of just like a very lean marketing team. So we really pride ourselves on democratizing ABM, which to us means meeting marketing and sales organizations wherever they are in their ABM journey. A little bit more background on how we work with Bombora specifically. So when you have access to the RollWorks platform, you also have access to Bombora intent data. And then you can use that intent data to prioritize accounts and target those accounts with relevant campaigns and content, just like we'll be hearing about today. So I will hand things over to the Okta team.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashley. So just a quick primer for those of you who are unfamiliar. So at Okta, our mission is to enable any organization to use any technology. So we do this with the Okta Identity Cloud, which offers an independent and neutral platform for your workforce, a scalable and secure platform for customer identity, and an identity-centric approach to Zero Trust. So at Okta, we've been recognized by Gartner as a leader in identity for 7 years in a row now. So we're the leading cloud-first, independent, and platform scale vendor. So here, I'll talk a little bit about some background to set the stage for what we'll be talking with you today. So I think this might sound familiar for a lot of you. So since the pandemic, our marketing team really needed to find ways to reach and engage with prospects outside of our live conferences and in-person events. So that means, that meant a significant increase in our online campaigns. what we found that was our target account lists were outdated, not centralized, which made it really tough for us to provide cohesive experiences. Our team was also tasked with supporting Okta sales segments for all of EMEA. So we were struggling with how do we prioritize which accounts? So we needed to address these challenges. First, we needed to find who is actively searching for Okta solutions so we can show up when they need our help. Second, get a better understanding of prospect intent so we can kickstart the right conversations with each account. And then lastly, we wanted increased focus. So we wanted to avoid spending resources, engaging with kind of unlikely buyers with generic ads. So here I'll talk a little bit about how did we approach solving those challenges. First, we did a ton of research around the intent and intent playbooks. Our partners at RollWorks have been super great about with walking us through that. We eventually landed on piloting intent playbooks around our 3 go-to-market themes around IT modernization, security, and digital transformation. Next, we needed to gain a better understanding of how does our given audience move towards their end goal? How do we move them along, and how do we talk to them about their goal? So here, working with our counterparts on the solutions marketing team, the regional and campaigns teams were critical. Next, we built our segments so we can better personalize via the intent playbooks. So we looked at our various segmentation options like geo, segment, journey stage, seniority, and vertical, so we can align that creative based on whichever stage they are on the buyer's journey. Next, we conducted an audit of where we were as far as like gaps in automating audience pushes, getting a step-by-step view into campaign launches, and tracking and measurement and iteration, plus also to get baseline on how our campaigns back then were performing from both an engagement and conversion standpoint. And there, RollWorks and our counterparts on the marketing ops team at Octo were a key partner. And lastly is launch. So Katie will dive deeper into those details.
Thanks, May. Once we completed the steps that were just discussed, we took that information to develop our intent-focused playbooks, starting with identifying the target account list we wanted to leverage, and then layering on intent, as you can see here in this middle image. This is an example of one of our security-focused playbooks. It includes security-related terms, driving users to relevant security-focused ads that you see here on the right. By designating a GTM pillar and target account list each playbook, we're able to deliver the most relevant content to the accounts. And then to take it a step further, we also focused on intent recency and level. By focusing on accounts showing a high level of intent and a short recency signal, we're able to further refine our audiences and make sure we're reaching those who are actively interested. In addition to the setup, we also put a lot of effort into optimization and refinement, which you'll see on this slide. Regular optimization and refinement of our target account list, creative, intent keywords were a big contributor to our success. Some of the key things we focused on included moving to dynamic account lists, which allowed our account lists to be updated nightly. We also activated RollWorks account scoring feature to make sure accounts we were targeting were in line with our current customer profiles, as well as collaborating with sales and marketing to ensure the account lists and keywords we were leveraging were up to date. We also consistently refreshed creative, paused low performing ads, and tested new ads and content like HTML5 and customer stories. As you can see here, here's an example of one of the animated ads that we launched.
Katie, do you mind if I jump in with a question real quick?
Yeah, of course.
I'm just curious, especially about those last 2 bullet points, refreshing the creative. I feel like that's so important. So I was wondering first how often you did that. And then also when you were reviewing all of that, did you find anything interesting, like any certain ads that perform better over others?
Yeah, great question. We refresh creative quarterly, but then we also stay in close contact with our content teams in case any fresh content comes out during the quarter that we could weave in. And then once we launched the animated ads, we did see a lower CPC of about 16%, but we didn't see a huge shift in click-through rates, which was an interesting finding for us because we did anticipate a bit higher click-through rate for those. And then video and native are next on our list to test out in our playbooks. So we're excited to see how those perform.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. And as a final piece of our intent playbook overview, we're also able to leverage the data from our playbook performance and activity across other channels. which we'll chat about on the next slide. Once our playbooks were up and running, we were able to see which accounts were highly engaging with our ads. And from this, we developed more granular target account lists to leverage on LinkedIn, which is our main lead gens platform. This gave us the opportunity to appear to engaged accounts on multiple channels, as well as diversify our ad mix with content capturing focused ad types like lead gen forms, as well as meeting makers.
This is really great stuff. Can you tell us about the results that you've seen so far with these intent-based programs?
Yeah, definitely. One of the most exciting slides we'll go over as a result of our efforts in 2021 from leveraging intent playbooks to optimizing and refining our target account lists and ads. We saw a 17% higher click-through rate for our intent playbooks versus non-intent playbooks, as well as 2.7 times lower cost per conversion. Additionally, time from opportunity creation to close deal was reduced by 63%, and there was a 22% increase in influenced revenue with the introduction of intent playbooks. We also found that accounts reached by intent-based playbooks converted to opportunity at a 24 times higher rate versus accounts without intent. In addition to these results, we also learned a lot along the way. So we'll go over some key takeaways. One of the main key takeaways is that intent is very useful in helping us identify and prioritize our in-market accounts to make sure our ad dollars are being used efficiently. Additionally, leveraging intent allows us the opportunity to align messaging and content based on interest signals to help deliver the right content to the right accounts at the right time. And finally, continuous optimization and refinement of intent topics is necessary to keep campaigns healthy and accounts engaging.
Love it. So what's next for Okta?
Awesome. So to expand the program, there's a couple of different ways that we're looking into. So we're expanding to other channels, other activation channels, for example, light touch nurture, automated outreach. We're actually in the process of creating new landing page experiences to further improve those conversion rates. And then lastly, we're exploring new playbooks focused on key verticals for us.
Awesome. That was great. I know I loved hearing about your intent playbook, and I think our audience did as well. So thank you guys for sharing all of that. So let's go ahead and jump into the Q&A. And while we go through the questions, just another reminder that you guys can submit your questions in the Q&A tab on your screen, and we'll get to them as we can. So the first question that we have is, what criteria did you use to identify the granular list for LinkedIn?
I can jump in and answer that. So within RollWorks platform, you can see the accounts that are unaware, aware, engaged. And so we took a look at the accounts that were highly engaged with us. So that would be viewing 3+ pages more on our website, and then also thinking about the criteria available in LinkedIn from targeting, since it is slightly different from platform to platform. So that was the main focus for that. Let me know if that answered your question.
Thanks. Next question is, what is the time frame for these results?
So we launched the intent playbooks at the start of our Q2 of this fiscal year. So it was at May, and then we looked at Q2 through Q4. So we're in the middle of Q4 right now, through end of 2021.
Okay. And do you guys create dedicated landing pages for each ad?
So yes, I think for when we're looking into expanding into like the updated landing page experiences, like our goal is to have like tailored experiences for each playbook. So for example, having like a content hub for the security intent playbook to address like the different intent topics and researcher intent in one page.
Okay. Next question is, can you give an example of some of the channels you're planning to expand into?
Yes. So I think I mentioned light touch nurture. So we have another team at Okta that will partner with that. Katie spoke about our LinkedIn pilot. I think there's definitely we've only barely scratched the surface for that channel, as well as on Facebook. I would say those are the two main ones. And then I would also add automated outreach, working with our outbound team there.
All right. Next question. Did you purchase the entire RollWorks platform or only the intent data? And did you have, or I'm sorry, did some of the functionality overlap with your existing stack?
Yes, so we've been a long time RollWorks customer, so the intent playbook is an addition to like our existing package. We do have other like intent sources, but I would say like our partnership with the RollWorks team was super helpful just as far as getting this intent playbook and thinking about how, you know, like the best approach for Okta and for us for the pilot was super helpful.
And I can just add in there that intent is part of all of our packages. Of course, as you can imagine, you know, the larger package, the more access to intent data you have. So if any specific questions, feel free to reach out to me and I can put you in touch with the right person.
Great point. Thanks, Ashley. Next question is, what kind of ads or creatives were used to test your intent-based marketing?
I can jump in there. So we used a mix of static and animated ads. And then from there, we also tested out different types of content, driving to reports, blogs, infographics, and different pages like that, and as well as customer stories. So we have a lot of rich learnings that we've seen from there. And then they're always aligned with the intent playbook that we're going after. So security would be driving to security focused pages and so on.
That makes sense. Looks like I have a couple more questions here. So the next one is, do you primarily use LinkedIn for your contact data, or do you use any other platforms?
Yes, I would say LinkedIn would be our primary platform for contact data. I would also like we run contact retargeting campaigns with RollWorks as well.
And last question at the moment. Oh no, another one just
Yeah.
so a couple more questions still. Can you define what a playbook is to Okta? Is that based on your platform, or is that a breakdown of keywords, account profiles, ICPs, etc.?
Yeah, I would say for the purposes of this pilot, we kind of define playbook aligned with our a go-to-market theme. So within that, there are certain kind of assumptions that we have as far as like our primary personas and seniorities. Yeah, so I would say it's more aligned to our go-to-market themes.
Okay. Do you, I'm sorry, does RollWorks help you target the right people at a specific company?
Yes, we definitely do that.
Yeah, great partners.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you notice any certain content performed better than others when paired with intent data?
I would say it gave us the opportunity to ensure the content we were putting in front of the people was relevant because we knew what they were showing intent for. And then as we mentioned in the deck, I think there was quite a large increase in click-through rate when we were leveraging intent playbooks versus non-intent playbooks. So that would be the biggest takeaway there.
Okay. Last question at the moment, but maybe they're still rolling in. How much personalization have you included on your landing pages? Is that on an account-based level or a larger segment of the accounts based on the Bombora surge topics?
Personalization based on an account level. So we've actually tested like one-to-one personalization. We found that it didn't perform like a ton better. Actually, it performed at a lower level than we saw versus like broad-based vertical or like segment-based personalization. So we haven't done a ton of like one-to-one. So I would say we're definitely focused more on like one to few or broad-based like segment or intent / interest signal based personalization.
Okay. And what are some of the biggest challenges facing ABM managers?
Yeah, I think I touched a little bit about it on the background, but I think for us, having a solidified target account list, knowing like where we can prioritize and having it all in one place and making sure it's dynamically updated, so we're not constantly trying to make sure, oh, okay, like why is this account here or why is this in the targeting? I would say it's we've encountered a lot of challenges from an operational standpoint. Yeah, and I think as with any marketing team, when you have a limited budget and you have everyone, you have all of these like accounts that you want to target, it was just we were quite struggling with how do we prioritize and like where should we like dedicate more of our resources and investment on. So yeah.
Great answer. Now this question I think is debated a lot among marketing teams. Did you guys use gated versus ungated content depending on buying stage?
So we are primarily running display advertising and focusing on a lot of ungated content. And then we leverage LinkedIn a lot, like I mentioned, with our lead gen forms. So that would be more gated contact information collecting. We definitely try out gated content, especially for some of our bigger reports that the company rolls out. And if it's at a point in the stage where they're showing higher engagement with us and our website. So that would be when we would integrate any gated content to test out.
Awesome. And did you start with just targeting companies with ads, or did you work with sales to identify and work on follow-up with scripts and calls to keep people within those companies?
Yeah, I would say we started with actually sales nominated accounts. And then we actually needed to find ways to expand beyond that list. And then that's when we really turned to intent. And then finding like using that as a way to kind of organize, like, how are we going to communicate? How are we going to talk to this audience?
Great. And this is a similar question. What do you expect the sales team to bring to the table when you meet with them to build and review content, et cetera?
Yeah, I think we've been lucky. I think our sales team are always so excited to hear about what's going to be put out to market and like what are all the different things that we're going to be testing. So from our standpoint, like we love hearing like what are you hearing on the field, like what kind of topics, what kind of themes is getting brought up in your like conversations with prospects, and then try to blend that insight in as we're kind of like trying to think about ways that we optimize the playbooks, the topics, and then also like new content or offers to test. But great question.
Definitely. That was our last question, but one more chance for you guys to send them in. Going once, going twice. All right, I think that is everyone's questions. Thank you everyone for joining. Big thank you to our speakers from both Okta and RollWorks, and have a great day, everyone.